When you were a child, a single summer vacation felt like an absolute eternity. The days stretched on forever, filled with endless afternoons and countless new adventures. But as an adult, you blink and an entire year has completely vanished. Birthdays blur together and suddenly a decade has slipped right through your fingers. You probably joke that the clock is speeding up, but it is not a joke. Time is actually accelerating, but not on your physical watch. It is accelerating inside your mind. Neuroscientists have studied this terrifying phenomenon, and the scientific answer is deeply unsettling. The acceleration of time is not a physical reality, it is a biological illusion. The first part of the equation is pure, brutal mathematics, known as the proportional theory. When you are 5 years old, a single year represents 20% of your entire existence. To your developing brain, that is a massive, incredibly significant chunk of human history. But by the time you reach 50, 1 year is merely 2% of your life. Mathematically, each passing year becomes a smaller and smaller fraction of your total experience. But mathematics alone does not explain why last week felt like it never even happened. The real culprit is the biological machinery inside your skull, specifically how it processes memory. Think of your brain as a highly advanced video camera constantly recording your entire life. When you are young, this camera records in extreme high definition, capturing thousands of frames per second. Every texture, every rule, and every experience is brand new information that must be deeply analyzed. Your brain is forced to work in overdrive, writing dense, highly detailed neurological memories. When a memory is packed with thick, rich data, your brain perceives that moment in retrospect as longer. But as you grow older, the biological camera fundamentally changes how it operates. Your brain is the ultimate energy-saving machine, constantly looking for ways to burn fewer calories. You learn how to drive, you learn your job, and you master your daily routine. You stop analyzing your environment and switch into an efficient, unconscious biological autopilot. Why would your brain waste precious energy recording the exact same commute for the 1,000th time? It doesn't. It stops recording entirely. It literally deletes the mundane details to save metabolic energy. Your brain switches from high-definition video to taking a single blurry photograph of your entire day. When you look back at your week, there is absolutely zero new data for your mind to retrieve. And because there are no new memories to anchor your timeline, the time simply disappears. Psychologists call this terrifying everyday occurrence the holiday paradox. When you go on a totally new vacation, the days feel incredibly fast while you are living them. But when you return home and look back, the trip feels like it lasted for several months. Routine has the exact opposite effect. The mundane workday drags on forever in the present moment. But when you look back at the last 5 years of routine, they collapse into absolutely nothing. There is also a profound chemical component to this, the role of dopamine in your brain. Dopamine is not just the reward chemical, it acts as the internal metronome for your biological clock. Children have massive, constant surges of dopamine, which makes their internal metronome tick incredibly fast. When your internal clock ticks much faster than the external world, outside time seems to crawl. As you age, your baseline dopamine levels naturally drop, drastically slowing down your internal metronome. Now, the outside world seems to be racing by rapidly while your brain struggles to keep up. There is a well-documented psychological phenomenon known as the reminiscence bump. When older adults are asked to recall their lives, a massive disproportion of their vivid memories come from their late teens and early 20s, a period of massive life transitions. First love, moving out, starting a career, and navigating a complex, unpredictable adult world. Because everything was drastically new, the brain recorded that specific decade in stunning, unforgettable detail. But after age 30, life tends to settle into a predictable, stable, and highly repetitive script. The brain stops taking detailed notes and starts summarizing entire years into single, brief sentences. A 5-year corporate job gets completely collapsed into a single, fleeting thought in your memory bank. This compression of memory is exactly why adulthood feels like a speeding bullet. But there is another physical factor at play, the actual degradation of your neural pathways. As you age, the intricate networks of nerves in your brain become more complex and slightly degraded. Electrical signals must travel further and navigate more physical obstacles to process new visual information. Because the processing speed slows down, your brain captures fewer actual snapshots of the world per second. To your internal perception, the outside world appears to be moving significantly faster than before. Prominent neuroscientists have proven this through intense psychological experiments measuring human time perception. When subjects are placed in terrifying, completely novel situations, like free-falling backward into a net, their brains shift into hyperfocus, recording the terrifying event with extreme high-definition detail. When they recall the fall, they swear it lasted much longer than the actual physical seconds measured. Extreme novelty forces the brain to record, and dense recordings artificially expand the perception of time. This reveals a terrifying truth about your current adult life and your comfortable daily habits. If you wake up at the same time, drive the same route, and do the exact same job, eat the same food, and watch the exact same shows every single night of the week, your brain is not recording your life. You are literally fast-forwarding towards the grave. Routine is the absolute enemy of time. It actively erases your existence from your own memory. Every time you choose extreme comfort and strict routine, you are telling your brain to stop recording. You are actively choosing to make your life feel significantly shorter than it actually physically is. We spend our entire lives wishing we had more time, desperately trying to find ways to live longer. But extending your biological lifespan means absolutely nothing if your brain completely refuses to record it. This means you actually have the power to hack the biological system and slow time down right now. You cannot change the physical ticking of the clock, but you can force your brain to hit record. You have to intentionally inject novelty and extreme discomfort into your highly predictable life. Take a completely different, confusing route to your workplace tomorrow morning without a GPS. Learn a deeply complex new skill that frustrates you and forces you to pay intense attention. Travel to a place where you do not speak the language, and the cultural rules are entirely different. Have deep conversations with strangers who hold completely opposite worldviews from your own. Force your brain out of its comfortable, energy-saving autopilot and back into childhood curiosity. The more dense, brand-new memories you create, the slower your life will actually feel. Time only flies when you completely stop paying attention to the fragile world around you. If you want a truly longer life, do not just obsess over your diet and physical exercise. Start breaking your own rigid rules, shatter your daily routines, and force your mind to wake up.